Argentina and the Springboks, folks. That was a close one. 17 points to 10. Argentina, at the death, had a pretty decent chance, if Moroni catches that final ball, to at least have a shot to draw this game. But ultimately, the Springboks defense holds them out. And the knock-on means it's a 7-point victory to the Boks away. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats, but I think both sides will take a few positives out of this one, and there's certainly a fair bit to work on. Like, the Argentinians changed so many players for this game. Their injury list and unavailable list was horrendously long, but on the flip side, they got to build some depth, blood some young players. And for the Springboks, heaps of guys coming back from injury. And at times, man, they looked like it. They looked like a team which was a bit disjointed. I don't think the attack, maybe apart from the Van der Merwe try, ever really got flowing. Often it would be 10 phases. Let's try our luck at a high ball and see if we can contest it. Often the Argentinians handled the contestables pretty well. Sometimes they were a bit off the money in terms of like the depth of the kicks. So yeah, I don't think that they will be that pleased with that aspect of the game, but they scrummed really well, the Boks. And ultimately, they probably could have won this one by a bit more. But the Argentinians, you've got to give them a heap of credit for defending at times like absolute demons. Yeah, as I said, we'll go through the key events and the stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts on what's been a pretty good weekend of rugby. Early penalty against Honeycomb for a high tackle gave the Argentinians a shot at goal, which Santi Carreras duly slotted. But then they gave one back pretty soon after kind of trying to run the ball out of their own 22. That was seemingly the Argentina strategy early on. They switched largely to just kicking for exits early, but later on. But early it was trying to run out of their own 22. They passed it into touch. Passing accuracy, to be fair, left a little bit to be desired at times from the Argentinians, but Matera got pinged for playing the 9, and Sasha Feinberg-Ngomazulu was able to slot a 3-pointer in return. So 3 points apiece, penalty exchanges early. That's a proper test match. The first scrum, maybe a little bit, like you wouldn't have predicted it. Who's going to give away the first penalty? The debutant Argentinian tight head prop, or South Africa's veteran Thomas du Toit tight head prop? It's du Toit. He gives away a penalty. Argentina managed to punish from it. Like, this penalty at scrum time directly leads to a try, really, because the Argentinians are able to go for touch. Lavanini wins the line-out, the big veteran back in Argentinian colours. They go through one carry up the guts. Shift it left. Wegner, the prop, offloads, and Grondona is able to go over for his first ever international try. So 10 points to 3. The Argentinians are up, and the crowd is absolutely loving it. But that's the final scoring for Argentina. And if you get to play South Africa, you probably can't have such a long period scoreless. But I mean, to be fair, they kept within touch for the rest of the game. It's ultimately a pretty low-scoring game. I thought from South Africa's perspective, you probably had too many knock-ons early on when you did have possession. As I said, it looked like a team. You're going to use some cliche. Was it disjointed? Was it clunky? Was it messy? It's all of these words. And for Argentina, like I said, the passing accuracy just wasn't there. Like, passing above the guys' heads, passing into touch. It just, yeah, it wasn't flowing like we have seen Argentina flow in the past. So I don't think either team will be 100% happy with that. But I guess on the flip side, you can look at the defensive effort causing some of these errors on attack. You got to give credit there. Next scrum, and South Africa win the penalty. So that kind of changes the tone of the way the scrums go, I think, for the rest of the game. I mean, to be fair, the Pumas debutant tight head prop did really well. I think in the second half in particular is where the Boks scrum really got on top, but this penalty went to South Africa on their own feed. A big shove on the Argentinian tight head. He did give away that one, but he got better into the game, and I feel like that guy, the South African commentators who I had on my feed pointed this out as well, but that guy is 140 kilo tight head prop who just scrummaged pretty well against the world champions. There's going to be clubs with an eye on him even after just that one game. I thought he did all right, even if he gave away that penalty. Argentina held him out 12 phases before South Africa kind of opted just for a droppy. Hit the post from Sasha, but that's a little bit of a credit to the Argentinian defense, isn't it? Because there were like 12 phases, and the Pumas defense never really looked that stretched or like cracking. So the opting for the droppy is, like, I like it because it's a good, you know, if we're not going anywhere, let's just try to take the points. But it's also credit to the Pumas for not buckling under that defensive pressure. And then we get a pretty sad moment because Khaleesi goes off on 24 minutes. He said in the on-field post-match interview that his hamstring, he felt his hamstring, so he's going to go for a scan. Doesn't sound great. Ahead of the greatest rivalry. So 24 minutes, he goes off. He's one of the guys coming back from injury who needed game time. He's not got it. And by the sounds of things, he said not sad, but you could see he seems pretty down ahead of the greatest rivalry on the horizon. But yeah, he goes off, so Van Staden comes on. There's more missed chances down Argentina's end. And like there's one where they got a 5-meter line out. The Mauler just got advantage from South Africa. 5-meter line out, just not taken. So a little bit of a, I don't want to say, is that a let-off? But it's a missed chance from South Africa anyway. It's a 22 entry not converted into points, right? So that's one thing I think they'll be looking at on review. But from Argentina's perspective, I thought they were taking the high kicks pretty well, which was really nice to see after seeing New Zealand's dismal effort of that against the Stormers. It's nice to see. And the Japanese and the Aussies last night as well, my time, there was a lot of drop high balls and just guys, barely getting a hand to it kind of thing. It was scrappy. So it was nice to see guys just taking high balls to see that skill still exists in this game. I thought Argentina were doing pretty well in that area. South Africa, who was still 7 points down, did get one last chance before halftime. And finally they took it. I think this is the slickest we saw the Bok backline go for probably the entire game. It was Andre Esterhuizen who finally is able to kind of free the hands in a tackle, pops it to Moody, who gets it to Fassi, Edwil van der Merwe. Try time South Africa, so we go into the sheds 10 points apiece. Like, we hadn't seen that kind of free flow from South Africa much in the first half, and we didn't really see it much in the second. So it was pleasing to see they've still got that. When they need to pull that trigger, they can do it. We go into the sheds, it's all tied up. South Africa's got 52% possession, 70% territory, which is nuts. But the line breaks 7-2 to Argentina. The defenders beaten 14-8 to Argentina. But also Argentina's coughed up twice as much ball. 8-4 turnovers conceded. So the passing accuracy, like I said, is a decent part of that. South Africa's also won a couple of turnovers. Penalty counts 5-4, so reasonably low, with the Argentinians copping one more. Second half starts again, and Honeycomb again concedes a penalty to start the half. I thought he had a pretty good game, but both halves start with a Cameron Honeycomb penalty. He takes the man in the air. Fortunately for him, Argentina can't do anything with that initial bit of territory they get from peeling off that kick. Rapetti, the prop, goodness me, he's only just come on. And I talked about him in the preview because he's an exciting young Argentinian prop. He comes off the bench, he gets an intercept, which is one of Argentina's best moments in a half where they didn't have that many attacking opportunities. Like, he gets an intercept, just trucks it up the guts. He's got a wee kind of shimmy step. He's got a dummy. Absolute thing of beauty. Like, absolute kind of highlight-worthy play. South Africa concede a penalty, and Canelas has another shot, but sadly for him, that one hits the post. So that is a missed opportunity for them. And then South Africa in return really start to turn the screws. You feel like there's a try incoming, but it's just hard. Like, it's an Argentinian scrappy line out. South African phases. Esterhuizen goes close, but gets held up. It's good defense from the Argentinians to not concede there. More huge pressure, 9 phases in the Argentinian 22. Again, they kind of have to opt for the high ball because nothing's really on, so Reinach just puts the up and under, and they regather the ball. There's a TMO check for a potential try, but they find there's a foot and touch from South Africa in the build-up, so it's another missed chance. Then Eben Etzebeth gets penalty. He concedes a penalty for kind of jumping into a tackle, which is one. Like, I think it's a good one to be penalising, but sometimes I don't see it penalised that way. Like, sometimes you see a guy jump for a ball and get tackled because the guy was just standing there waiting, not knowing that the opponent was going to jump for it, but the penalty goes against the tackler for tackling the guy in the air, even if it's the guy with the ball who jumped for it. So I wish all refs would referee that one that way, because apart from contesting high balls, usually guys don't need to jump for the ball. Maybe every now and again you see one bounce wickedly and the guy has to jump up for it. But yeah, a lot of times I've seen that penalised the other way. But yeah, just good on the ref for actually calling that one that way, that you can't jump into a tackle. I don't think Evan meant to jump into the tackle. It's just the way the game played out. Anyway, smart kick from South Africa pushes Argentina back on 62 minutes. Priscantelli, he gets caught. And this is the moment, man. He gets caught. The kick pressure from the box means he's held up in the tackle, so it's a maul. Maul turnover means South African scrum 5 meters out, and the way that scrum's been going, it's not going to end well for the Argentinians, and sure enough, it does. A big shove on. advantage, and Honeycomb is able to go over. So 17 points to 10. That is the final scoring, but you can give that try essentially down to initially the smart kick, second the kick chase, and third the big scrum. Those things coming together. Like me as an All Blacks fan, that's the kind of thing that's got me worried. All Blacks fluff a high ball or get caught under a high ball. I'm already thinking about the future games. I should be focused on this game, but you know what I mean. That's a try. So 17 points to 10. Every scrum from here is essentially big trouble for Argentina, but South Africa, like I said, the attack doesn't really get flowing. They bring on Oviedo, the replacement hooker for the Argentinians, and his throws are not very good. That doesn't help Argentina's cause whenever they do finally get some possession. He's got a couple of throws which just go askew. He's only played really limited minutes for the Western Force in Super Rugby, so he's very much a green guy at international level on debut, but yeah, it didn't go very well. But they did get one last throw of the dice, the Argentinians. Bloody Pablo Matera. I was incredulous as to what the hell he was doing. There's like a minute left. And Pablo Matera, I didn't realize it was him at first, just puts in a kick through. I'm screaming at my TV, what are you doing? Why are you kicking it? But it's a beautiful 50-22 from the flanker, from the legend of Argentinian rugby. What a kick. 50-22. Can Argentina get the draw? 15 phases. They finally get some go-forward advantage line carries, which we haven't seen for them that much in the second half. They finally get some width. The final pass to Moroni, and he shells it. It was kind of a tricky one. Again, it's the passing accuracy a little bit above his head, but he's a veteran. He probably should be taking that. It's the clutch play. You need to take it. Sasha Feinberg-Ngomzulu is still there. He might bundle him into touch, but he would have had a job to do at least. Whether he did the job, we'll never know. But yeah, because Moroni shelled it. He didn't have to do anything. He's just able to celebrate as the game ends. So, low-scoring game. I feel like the Boks, kind of like the All Blacks after that Stormers game, the Boks will cop a lot of criticism for not punishing an Argentinian side who was, really, you can go with the B team, C team thing or whatever you want, but a really inexperienced or much changed Argentinian team. But I think kind of like the All Blacks, the Boks will be better for having a good game. If they'd beaten this Pumas team by 60, 70 points, it's kind of a training run. Like, what's the point? For having a hard test match and, shaking off a bit of the rust, getting some guys back from injury, I think they'll be better for it going forward. I think that's the way it works. Possession finishes 55-45, territory 62-38, both to the Boks. The line break still finishes in the Pumas' favour. It finishes 8-5. Remember, the Pumas had 7 in the first half, so a lot more limited in the second. Defenders beaten 28-16 to the Pumas, so they had some really nice attacking numbers. A lot of kicks in this game, 43 from the Boks, 37 from the Pumas. Like I said, the Boks kicking accuracy was probably not good enough. A couple of times they lost the territory battle from their kicks. A couple of them were good, like the second half try is set up from a good kick, but it wasn't quite as on the money as you would expect. Penalty conceded as 7 each. So not that high, pretty low penalty count in the game. Turnovers conceded as 16-10 against the Pumas. So I think that's a killer for them. You can't be affording to shell as many ones as they did. Because you had less position, you had less territory. You need to be just that little bit more clinical. Turnovers won is 5-2 to the Boks as well. Honeycomb had 13 carries, beats 3 defenders. He's the top South African for defenders beaten with 3. Which in the scheme of things is kind of low. Like Matera had 8. So you would expect it to kind of be on the flip side. But like I said, the Argentinian busted tackle stats were a bit better. Ruiz, the hooker who's coming in for Montoya, doesn't usually get that much game time. He had 25 tackles, big shift from him. Elric Lowe had 16. So, yeah. Interesting game. Good win. Well, solid win for the Boks. And the Pumas get to build a bit of depth. By no means taken to town like they were predicted to get beaten, pretty handily in some areas. So, yeah, interesting way to start my Sunday morning. You guys let us know your thoughts on the match. And, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.